Welcome to China Truths. Today we will take a look at China's military ambitions, including the following topics. Regional concern after China launches Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. Report says China exploits US-funded research to boost military. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Regional concern after China launches Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. China's Indo-Pacific neighbors expressed concern after the Chinese military on September 25 fired an intercontinental ballistic missile or ICBM, while Beijing stated through state-run media that it had given relevant neighbors advanced notice. Some top officials said they were unaware. A spokesperson for New Zealand Foreign Minister Winston Peters told the media the missile test was an unwelcome and concerning development. It was the first time in 44 years that China had launched an ICBM. The Australian government stated that it has sought an explanation from China, a spokesman told media outlets. The spokesperson said, "The launch comes in the context of China's rapid military build-up, which is taking place without the transparency and reassurance that the region looks for from great powers. Australia is concerned by any action that is destabilizing and raises the risk of miscalculation in the region and is consulting regional partners about this launch." Japanese government spokesperson Yoshimasa Hayashi told reporters at a press conference following the test fire that Japan had no advance notice. Hayashi said the Chinese government had increased its military presence around Japan, citing it as a concern. Last month, a Chinese military plane breached Japanese airspace in an unprecedented move. This Chinese military trend, with its lack of transparency, is a serious concern for Japan and the international community, he said. A Japan Coast Guard official said it had received a navigation warning from China on September 23 for space debris in 3 zones in the South China Sea and the Pacific north of the Philippines' Luzon Island and in the South Pacific on September 25, but it did not confirm whether the warning was related to the missile launch. ICBMs are nuclear-armed missiles with a range surpassing 3,500 miles, capable of striking almost any target in the world. Last year, US lawmakers confirmed that China now has more ICBM launchers than the United States, and that number has increased 5 times faster than US predictions. China has not publicly disclosed the size of its nuclear stock. The missile is a DF-41, which, according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, is China's longest-range missile, able to travel an estimated 9,300 miles. The distance between Shanghai and San Francisco is about 6,100 miles. According to an official statement, the ICBM launched on September 25 was carrying a simulated warhead and landed in the designated sea area near the French Polynesian Islands. Beijing stated that the test was routine and not targeted toward any country. The missile test coincided with China's increased military aggression in the Indo-Pacific. Retired U.S. Navy Captain James Fannell told the Epoch Times that the test sent a clear and unambiguous signal that China was committed to a strategic breakout in its nuclear arsenal. This test comes as Beijing has rapidly increased its nuclear stockpile and upgraded submarine and bomber plane development for nuclear missile compatibility. He said, "By every metric, China is flexing its strategic muscles by expanding its nuclear arsenal and its strategic reach." Timothy Heath, senior international defense researcher with RAND Corporation, told the Epoch Times there was also a domestic message being sent. He noted that the launch came after scandals over corruption in the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, PLARF, that resulted in a purge among its top brass. He said, the test was an opportunity for the PLARF to restore its credibility with China's leadership. Heath noted that it was also meant to signal to the world that the PLARF remained capable despite the scandals. Manoj Kawalramani, fellow for China Studies and the chair of the Indo-Pacific Studies program at the Takshashila Institution, told the Epoch Times that the test seemed like a rushed effort, and he said it could be intended to change the narrative among Chinese. Clearly, economic stress is mounting in China, and there are signs of friction, he said. According to Kawalramani, there has also been tension with Chinese thought leaders publicly criticizing the economy. John Sayosiari, dean of the Hamilton Lugar School of Global and International Studies at Indiana University, said that a test of this kind has domestic, regional, and global audiences. He told the Epoch Times, within China, it supports a nationalist narrative about the government's competence and resolve. Regionally, it is part of a broader effort to discourage China's neighbors from challenging Beijing on Taiwan or other flashpoints. To global audiences, the test may seek to amplify perceptions that China is gaining rapidly on the United States in military power and technological prowess. Fannell also said that this put to bed the notion that the PLA strategic rocket force is rife with corruption and disloyalty to General Secretary Xi, but he disagreed with Heath that the goal was only deterrence and viewed the test as evidence that the nuclear disarmament talks between the United States and China have been toothless. He said these actions run counter to China's public statements and diplomatic talks. This test demonstrates China has both the intent and capability to attack the American homeland with nuclear weapons, something PRC military officials have talked about doing for over 20 years, Fannell said, using the acronym for the People's Republic of China, the current official name of China. Report says China exploits US-funded research to boost military. China has gained backdoor access to U.S. technologies through partnerships between academic research institutions over the past decade, with millions of dollars in U.S. funding indirectly going toward advancing Chinese military technology, according to a new congressional report. The report, a collaboration between Republicans on the House Select Committee on China and the House Education and Workforce Committee, found that U.S.-funded researchers have collaborated with their Chinese counterparts in fields such as hypersonics, directed energy, nuclear and high-energy physics, and artificial intelligence and autonomy. The report states these are not innocuous technologies with civilian-only applications. Rather, they are cutting-edge technologies, militarily useful in the Western Pacific, that the PLA, or People's Liberation Army, can and will use against U.S. service members in the event of a conflict. Representative John Molinar, a Republican from Michigan, chairman of the Committee on China, said in a statement that the results of the joint investigation were alarming. Beijing is driving its military advancements through U.S. taxpayer-funded research and through joint U.S. PRC institutes in China, Molinar said, referring to China's official name, the People's Republic of China. The report identified more than 8,800 publications supported by Department of Defense or DoD funding and published with Chinese co-authors, and an additional 185 publications supported by funding from U.S. intelligence agencies. More than 2,000 DoD-funded papers have included co-authors who were directly affiliated with China's defense research and industrial base. According to the report, these collaborations are providing backdoor access to the very foreign adversary nation whose aggression these capabilities are necessary to protect against. The report states, the troubling conclusion then is that DoD-funded research, intended to allow the U.S. military to maintain a technological edge over its adversaries, has likely been used to enable and strengthen the PLA. The report features 6 case studies in which federally funded researchers helped China achieve advancements in fourth-generation nuclear weapons technology, artificial intelligence, advanced lasers, nanotechnology, graphene semiconductors, and robotics. One case involved an unnamed researcher, referred to as Researcher 4, who the report says is a pioneer in piezotronics and nanogenerators and who secured about $22 million in federal funding from several U.S. agencies, including the Department of Energy, NASA, and the U.S. Air Force, over decades. According to the report, the researcher has also participated in China's talent programs since 1992 while holding numerous positions within problematic Chinese institutions such as the state-owned Chinese Academy of Sciences. The FBI states on its website that Beijing's talent plans, which are state-run recruitment efforts, promote trade secret theft and economic espionage. The researcher engaged with PLA-linked medical research institutes and partners with several Seven Sons of National Defense Universities, including Beihang University. The Seven Sons refers to 7 Chinese universities with ties to China's military and defense industry. Between 2012 and 2024, the researcher filed hundreds of patents in China. The report says many patents appear to directly leverage concepts developed during Researcher 4's U.S. tenure, suggesting the transfer to the PRC of expertise and applied capability likely funded by American taxpayers. In 2014, the researcher accepted an award in a ceremony attended by Chinese leader Xi Jinping and representatives from China's top military body, the Central Military Commission. The ceremony praised the researcher for building cutting-edge scientific research centers and platforms bases in China, according to the report. Representative Virginia Fox, a Republican from North Carolina, chairwoman of the House Committee on Education and the Workforce, said at a panel held by the Alexander Hamilton Society on September 23, "It is no surprise that China is doing everything that it can to become the #1 power in the world, and that it will use any means possible to do that." If China has an opportunity to take advantage of U.S. taxpayer dollars, it's certainly going to do that. Our taxpayer dollars should be used in our country to advance our systems and not to help the Chinese advance their system. The report also examined what it describes as problematic joint institutes between U.S. and Chinese universities, arguing that these partnerships conceal a sophisticated system for transferring critical U.S. technologies and expertise to the PRC. According to the report, through those institutes, American academics, including those who received federal funding, have traveled to China to work with and advise Chinese scholars and train Chinese students. The report says, this creates a direct pipeline for the transfer of the benefit of their research expertise to the PRC. The report looked at 3 joint institutes: Tsinghua Berkeley Shenzhen Institute, TBSI, Georgia Tech Shenzhen Institute, GTSI, and Sichuan University, Pittsburgh Institute. At an event held by the Alexander Hamilton Society shortly after the report was released, Molinar applauded the Georgia Institute of Technology and the University of California, Berkeley for choosing to sever their ties with Chinese entities. Molinar said, "I want to point out both of those institutions since this report came to light, and since they worked with our committee on these findings, they recognized the problem with these affiliations and have broken off those affiliations." Georgia Tech said in a statement that the report's claims about GTSI are unsubstantiated. There was no research conducted at GTSI, no facilitation of technology transfer, and no federal funding provided to China. Still, on September 6, Georgia Tech announced that it would discontinue its participation in GTSI with Tianjin University and the municipal government of Shenzhen. The university said the partnership was no longer tenable after the U.S. Commerce Department added the Chinese university to its entity list in 2020. Also, in 2020, the Commerce Department accused Tianjin University of being involved in more than a dozen instances of theft of trade secrets from U.S. companies. Catherine Yellick, University of California, Berkeley's Vice Chancellor for Research, said in a statement that Berkeley's researchers engage only in research whose results are always openly disseminated around the world, and the university was not aware of any research by Berkeley faculty at TBSI conducted for any other purpose. Yellick said the university has also decided to start the process of relinquishing all ownership in the Shenzhen school after careful consideration, which began several months ago. She added that Berkeley takes concerns about research security very seriously, including those concerns voiced by Congress. The University of Pittsburgh said it could not comment because the school was not consulted and did not work with the House Select Committee throughout the investigation. Molinar said at the event that the report does not explicitly say that any laws have been broken. He said, "It is not illegal for a professor at a university to collaborate with the People's Liberation Army, which is shocking when you think of them. So what we are advocating is really tightening the guardrails in terms of what is legal, what is not, what taxpayer dollars, especially defense dollars, can be used for, in terms of the types of partnerships and educational arrangements." Gabriel Steinman, executive director of the Alexander Hamilton Society, told the Epoch Times that the United States needs to fix the problem. Steinman said American universities collaborating with Chinese universities on research projects that have military implications, none of it is actually illegal. "I think the onus is actually on us, on the United States, on Congress, on the universities, to actually get their house in order. It's nice to see Congress start to wake up and pay more attention to it, but obviously, they've got a long way to go to actually solving the problem." The report offered several policy recommendations, including passing the Deterrent Act, a bill that the House passed in December last year. The legislation, H.R.5933, would lower the threshold at which foreign gifts to universities are required to be reported and prohibit contracts with certain foreign entities or countries of concern. The Senate version of the legislation, S.3362, has not been scheduled for a vote. Another recommendation is that Congress should ban researchers receiving federal funds from engaging in collaboration with highest-risk entities, such as entities affiliated with the PLA, the Seven Sons of National Defense, China's National Defense Labs, and China's Ministry of Public Security. According to the report, Congress should also ban federally funded researchers from any future collaboration with these entities related to the subject matter of their research grants. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us.